Cold has always been one of my biggest fears throughout my life, and growing up in Hong Kong during my childhood had ensured that I fear the cold. When I moved to the US and now Canada, I always try to avoid the cold by minimizing the time spent outdoor. But should I be avoiding the cold for my entire life, avoiding beautiful places that I've yet to explore? I know that this isn't what I really want, and to overcome it, I must face it. Here is what I've done as a first step to overcome the fear. Today is the first day of my 1 week hiking and cold water challenge. Feeling really nervous. It's very scary. Not the part of the hiking, but the part that I need to put myself into the cold water. I think this will be a great week to train my body for adapting the cold. So I hiked the same 10-mile hike every day and put my body in the freezing cold water for 1 week. It may not seem to be that cold, but I guarantee that it was really cold. It's about 2.5 miles in. My hands were freezing at the start. Now it's warming up. Feeling great. When I reached to the waterfall, there were already way too many people, so I went across the water that is a bit further from everyone else. My feet are freezing and I'm shaking. It's very scary. Oh my god. I'm trying to cross over there to the rocks, do a little bit of breathing, and then going into the water. Earlier I was standing there for more than 10 minutes, mentally struggling, and now my feet are wet. I think I'm getting it going. I sat down on the rock and began the Wim Hof method. I've been practicing the breathing method here and there for quite a few years already, but putting my naked body fully in such cold water is a first. My body is already shaking like crazy right now. I just can't believe that I'm going into the water. It needs to happen, so let's go. Let's go. Fuck, I'm freaking out. Okay. Oh, fuck. Immediate spikes of pain hit my skin and I began to shiver right from the moment I entered the water. I tried focusing on my breathing, but that didn't quite work. Instead, my mind kept drawing attentions over how cold and shaky my body was. I wanted to quit at every moment, but I told myself, just a couple more minutes, just a couple more minutes. About 5 minutes later, I stood up. It was a great start, I told myself. You can tell from the redness of my skin. Despite a sunny day, the water was indeed cold. My arms and legs felt like they were locked in place. My movements became so clumsy and I was shivering heavily. Getting myself back to the dry ground was not an easy task. On my hike down, a group of people asked me if I was the guy in the water. I explained it to them that I'm doing a 7-day cold challenge, and they were amazed to find out. They said I looked so happy. Well, I was definitely not happy that I'm forcing my body in such a difficult condition, but I might be happy that I got 1 day out of the way. And so I met Umer, Nima, Dale, and Satnam. Very lovingly people that were no strangers to share their life stories with me.
He graduated from university and he was headhunted for this company, and he said, I got such fabulous offers. What I really wanted to do was take a year and travel. And his parents were appalled They
Wow,
said, we
yeah.
spent all this money to put you through school and everything. This is what you want to do. I said, where are you going? He said, I hitchhike along the way. He said, I'm going towards Istanbul now. He had done all of eastern Turkey and sleeping in villages and people's homes. People say, how can you go to eastern part of Turkey? Aren't you afraid? He said, I met such nice people. It depends how you feel about it. If you're afraid to be in stuff, maybe you'll attract all these people who are not nice. But he said, I've met nobody like that. Everybody was so kind. What I'm afraid of is, he says, I'm sitting in a chair watching TV. I'm 60 years old. I just realized that I can change the channels. Meanwhile, I've missed all the movies.
Oh, wow.
And I was just so happy to be there sharing the hike down with them. After the first day, I was very tired and sleepy. I had some salad and a rice bowl for dinner and had to sleep right away.
It's 9 p.m. The sun is still out. Going to sleep now and get up at 5 tomorrow morning. See you guys in the morning. It's 5. Look at the sky. So I got here at 7 and it's now almost 11. I was struggling to get going this morning, so I took a nap. I guess I slept again, and now I'm feeling much better.
On day 2, I tried to focus my breathing as I hike because I wanted to jump into the water right away once I reached the waterfall. For the first few minutes in water, it wasn't that bad comparing to the day before, but quickly later, I started to shiver heavily again. I did set a timer for 6 minutes, hoping to get 1 minute up from yesterday, but ended up only with 5 minutes. Still, it was great progress.
Freezing.
After getting out of the water, a passerby stranger, Molen, gave me a Taiwanese pineapple cake. People are just so friendly. A freaking pineapple cake in the middle of the forest? That was the best treat ever.
Super nice people. They gave me a pineapple cake.
And so I shared the hike down with Jeremy, Stephanie, and Molen this time. Yet another great encounter and lovely conversations with fellow hikers.
I think I'm already warmed up and my short is already half dry. So it's pretty good.
For dinner that night, I fried some chicken and made some pasta.
So whenever I'm in the city, I use a dry cleaning method to clean my kitchenware. And I usually start with a paper towel to soak up all the oil and grease. And now that there's no oil on my pan, I use baby wipes to clean up everything. There's a little bit of soap in the baby wipes. After baby wipes, I put a little bit of water and then paper towel once again to remove all the remaining soap that's stuck on the pan.
Just as I finished cooking, a guy named Dan saw me cooking at the Walmart parking lot and stopped for a chat. We had a long conversation about EVs and he told me that he got a place for rent if I'm looking to move out here. How wonderful. On day 3, I started to get just a little more comfortable with the cold, and I was able to stay in the water for 7 minutes. I also started to replicate the movement that I saw online from videos of Wim Hof training other people. And I think that helped quite a lot to warm up my body from circulating the blood. 15 minutes on day 4, 17 minutes on day 5, and day 6 a whopping 20 minutes. The message that came up in my mind over and over again as I was in the water is to surrender. I sat there enjoying the wonderful view in front of me. The bright sun definitely helped a lot for recovery after my each dip.
Every time I make this corner, the temperature just gets warmer. So much warmer.
And finally, day 7.
Last day. I'm so glad that this is finally coming to an end. I'm beyond excited. It's a bit cooler today and it may rain a little later. I'm gonna aim for 20 minutes, just like yesterday.
This is the happiest and certainly the toughest day by far. It turned out to be quite a rainy day. I for sure overestimated my limit. This is overall the coldest day for my 7th day attempt. And this time, I will have a much harder recovery without the warmth of the sun. I didn't expect how bad it was going to get, and oh my body temperature went way down. I did my usual warm-up exercise, but it just didn't work at all. No matter how hard I tried to bring up my body temperature, the consistent cold wind carried by the waterfall just kept blasting it away. So I made the decision to get the heck out of there ASAP. And on the way down, my body took the worst turn. During this whole time, I was really struggling to get my body temperature back up. My blood in my body was stuck at a too low degree. I was shivering extensively and my consciousness was declining. It was this very scary moment that I thought I was going to totally lose it. I had to completely stop a couple of times to gather myself. I kept focusing on every breath that I take in and let out, stuffing calories into my stomach, taking every step very cautiously. Slowly and slowly, my body temperature rises and I made it back alive.
This was quite a 7-day challenge. My mind is in such a peaceful state right now because I was able to take action to try conquering one of my biggest fears. And although I may not have completely got rid of the fear of cold just yet, but I am much comfortable with being in the cold. And there's really nothing greater than taking a small step to expand the capability of oneself. There are so many flies, little flies around me right now. Perhaps they're here to celebrate with me. Thank you guys. Okay, I better get going. So 3 of the most important things that I learned from these 7 days are: first, to overcome any fear, you have to face it. Second, this one has been reoccurring many times since the day that I began traveling in my car. And that is, human connections are beautiful. Approach people that you don't know and you'll be surprised to find out the kind of experiences that they had and the wisdom that you can absorb. Third, if you are doing a similar challenge, make sure you start small. Build your way up. Probably not a good idea to start in a place that can put your life in danger, like falling off from a cliff. Know how your body will react, and if you haven't heard of Wim Hof, the Iceman himself, he's got a book, an app, and a ton of guided training video in his YouTube channel. So do a lot of research and practices yourself before taking a big step. Get out there and stay safe.